anything come close to solving any of this, except for many of the ideas that Luna is executing on.
That's right.
Great time. We were just talking about it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Just to bring you up to speed, we briefly touched multiple ways of generating adoption and like looking a few years ahead. And to briefly summarize, we came to the conclusion that you either generate adoption by integrating it seamlessly into a product and not having people know about that they're actually using blockchain, or the other option is that you're educating your user base and explaining them the potential of the technology and then taking it forward. Not sure if you have some genius mindset on what a third route to true blockchain adoption could be. And maybe a question to you is, how is Luna, like, what's the balance between seamless integration for Luna or educating its user base? Or do you have a third way that you think you would generate adoption for blockchain with Luna?
So there's a new possibility space that's opened up within the global blockchain community, which is this huge bootstrapping potential for startups. And one of the key ways this is, we've seen this is in ICOs. There's a new decentralized funding vehicle for many companies. But on top of that now, there's this incredibly rich global community of both enthusiasts, investors, and developers that are building projects, that are building and supporting projects globally. And this community is nothing's ever existed like it before. It's aggressive, it's fast moving, doing more and more educated, powerful entrepreneurs, and really this first wave of users to adopt these products. And there's a new possibility in bootstrapping this community into adoption of services. I mean, one of the most classic examples of this is Telegram as a service. Telegram has gone to be one of the largest messaging applications in the world, and a big part of that is its adoption within the blockchain community. And they were able to create something that solved the purpose. And now they're going from that, and they're building a blockchain backend to further serve the needs of their community. I do think that to get to this scale of the top enterprise grade applications with 10 million, 100 million plus users, the blockchain community is not sufficient. It's potentially a first market to target, but ultimately there's too much education required to appropriately onboard a typical user into a product or service.
Maybe, why don't we migrate into a different topic? So we've talked about adoption a lot. Maybe a question, I'll maybe briefly touch, say, investments in this bearish market, and at the same time, your view as a product. Like, how do we deal with this lower end? I mean, it's not low, like we're 6.7. In my head, Bitcoin at $1,000 is still amazing. But let's say in the short term, how do you deal with this market as an investor? How do you deal with this market as a company? Because you've obviously, like, you have expenses. How does this fare you? How does this impact your operations? And how do you deal with this more bearish sentiment right now?
So over the past 6 months, we've been more focused with development, compliance, onboarding new talent, than with anything else. I check CoinMarketCap every 2 weeks now, whereas before it would be much more regular. That's because my attention really has to be on running, building, expanding the company. And through doing this, we're able to create value that ultimately influences the greater blockchain and token ecosystem. Ultimately, this ecosystem will fail if everyone is focused purely on token price as a metric of success, it creates a perverse incentive to do short-term beneficial behaviors to token price that ultimately hurt the companies and hurt the industry. And a key indicator of this is the huge amount of marketing and advertising that blockchain companies are spending. That ultimately, instead of spending $100,000 on hiring one or two developers, they're spending that on a week of advertising. And ultimately, while it's short term is creating a token pump, long term they won't be able to maintain competitive in an industry that's growing very, very quickly. So it plays into a pump and up scheme as a short-term most successful vehicle. And I want to relate this to the failure of public companies in the stock market. The timing is different. It's 3 months, it's quarterly cycles instead of daily cycles, but or hourly cycles that we see in the crypto space. But ultimately, there's this new incentivization where quarterly stock price is the ultimate judge of the success of a company, and the board of directors has a fiduciary responsibility, a legal responsibility, to maintain the stock price over everything else. And what we've seen in the past 100 years is the companies that are most successful ultimately then grow to a point where the stock price is the only metric. And then they start to cut corners and take actions that focus only on the stock price that ultimately destroy the company over a period of time. It leads to an internal ossification. It leads to a lack of risk-taking, a focus on marketing and deception and promotion over creating value and addressing user needs. And I feel very cautioned as a developer within the blockchain space to not follow this same route and to find a balance between focusing on development and focusing on marketing. But ultimately, marketing has to follow development and has to follow building real value. Because if you're not building value, then ultimately you're just taking people's money. And you're just convincing someone else to buy. You're just trying to create an aftermarket. But the real value that we're going to see in tokens is through the value created. If you look at Bitcoin as an example of this, the value of Bitcoin is in its ability to provide liquidity for people, its ability to provide a store of value. And that's the ultimate reflection of what the value of a Bitcoin is. The hype on that then creates these new people trying to not miss out on an opportunity to get rich quick. But volume is ultimately going to be a key determinator of any means of transaction.
So I remember the email from Intercapital. So my whole company was also invested by Intercapital. So about 10 years ago, we faced the global economic doom, as you know. At that time, the Intercapital CEO sent their emails to every company CEO that we are continuing our investment beside of this situation because we believe that every company's value is not depends on the USD, but their value is depends on their ideation or their IP or their swag in the market. So I totally believe that. So now it's the first time for mankind to facing this type of the market. So we have a lot of the tokens in the over 10,000 tokens in the market. So it's the first time. So now every altcoins their valuation is up to the Bitcoin. But I think that if every ISO project they can make some value over the Bitcoin or Ethereum that they can prove the value in the market. So we need some time, maybe 1 year or 2 years, but finally every blockchain-based project they have their own value based on their coin. That's my view.
Okay, so if I combine the two visions, I feel that both of you are talking on what's there's practices on token price. So you're comparing to stock market and saying, okay, there's people are just focusing on generating a price. I think it's very similar in crypto. People are focused on